here. So we have quite a few attendees from all around the world, some from Europe, some from Asia, some from Africa, some from the United States, I see here. And so the company today is quite special in many respects. One, it must be maybe you've participated like 6 or 7 times, right? So it's been quite a few rounds.
Yes.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this company, one, it's a company that is developing very rapidly. And every time they participate, they change the brief, they change the product. Like, for example, this time it's a different new product. And so I find that amazing and very admirable because, you know, the company is not just sitting there and enjoying what they've achieved so far. They're always, always, always looking for new directions. Second, it's a cool company, it's a cool product, and especially cool in a sense that it's useful for the students. So the company promises worry-free, Zen-like job search for you. And I finally yesterday cracked the meaning of your logo. And I was like, oh, that looks strange, but that's the Japanese Zen garden, isn't it? It's like
correct.
Yeah.
So the lines of the Z are actually coming from the sand.
Yeah. So that's like that rake thing. So what the company promises, and I've been able to observe that now for a couple of years. So when you come and sort of buy their services, they will help you worry-free with. They do not guarantee that you will get a job. Nobody can guarantee that. But at least they will help you with the resume, with a cover letter, with your LinkedIn profile. And so they will do all kinds of things for you to make it look professional. And I've seen some samples. In fact, my wife was their customer, and so she got a sample of the resume from them. So their resumes, hopefully we will look at some of them today during the presentation, look very, very different from your regular boring text-only Roman plain text, you know, resume. So they do some serious work of art. So if you know how job search works and how stressful it could be, or if you've been on the hiring committee, or maybe you're a business owner and you had to hire people, you know that you get hundreds and hundreds of applications. You have like a stack of these resumes, and going through them takes so much time. Oh, actually, that is my resume. So that's my old, yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. That's the resume that most of us know. So I don't even know from how many years ago, but yeah, that's kind of boring text only. And so you as a company owner have to read them, and you know, it's boring, it's long, it takes time. And then, oops, you have a ZenCV CD resume, and that one looks very different. So at the very least, you know that you will be noticed, and you know that your resume will not go straight to the recycling bin. Somebody will take a look at it.
Yes.
So, and that's the whole point, because, you know, with hundreds of people applying for the same position, and maybe even more now, because it's so easy to apply. Some people literally just click, LinkedIn or Monster or whatever site you use. And so for the, you know, for the recruiters, it's a problem because there are too many applicants to process. But for you, that's a problem because it's hard to stand out above the crowd. And so ZenCV here can help you do it right and do it in a way that you will be noticed. Again, if you don't have the qualifications, I don't think a good resume will help you. But at the very least, you know, you will not be dismissed without your resume being read. So, but in any case, there is a new product this semester, and so we'll talk about that as well. And so I guess I'm going to turn the microphone now to Vladimir and ask him to talk both about the company, the history, the idea behind it, the products you've been offering for a while now, the business model, but whatever new things. And honestly, I don't even know much about these new products. I only know that something's definitely new and kind of exciting and growing. So I'm eager to learn how is it different this semester from the last. Please.
Thank you very much for the warm intro. First of all, my mic was having some problems today. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Seems like it's working.
Seems like it's working. Okay.
Oh, it actually, the sound disappeared. It was good, but then it disappeared.
That's what about now? Do you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so it's
better. All right.
A little echo, but we can hear you. Yeah.
Let's do it without the mic. So thank you first of all, thank you for the warm introduction. I always love your introductions and the enthusiasm that you bring to the project. Really admirable. ZenCV, as Vasil explained, mostly our core business is making CVs and making the whole job application journey Zen for our customers and our clients and people in general. How we do that? We do that by taking the worry and the weight of these painful tasks off your shoulders. So we do the CV making, the LinkedIn optimization, the cover letter writing, the professional orientation, all of these things, we do it for you, so you don't have to worry. And since our services are done by professionals, usually our services and our CVs have up to 300 to 400% higher scores on scoring an interview, getting a job, negotiating a higher salary, stuff like that. So what we've been doing in the last year and a half, we've been having manual services. So we were covering all the steps of the job application journey. So from professional orientation, like where do I want to go, what job is the right job for me, to CV writing, to cover letter writing, to LinkedIn optimization, and at the end to the interview simulation itself. But
so you now do even interview rehearsals or simulations?
Correct. Yes, you can do an interview rehearsal with our staff. That's right.
Very interesting. So that's a little, or at least I missed it before. So that's nice. So
that's a little bump that we did. Although all of these services are manual, and it's really difficult to scale and reach a larger crowd and not reach bottlenecks within our own team. So what we're trying to do, we're actually trying to digitalize each of these steps one by one. So we are starting from professional orientation. Before, you would have to do a call with our HR, and you would have to talk for 2-3 hours, and you would have to meet several times, do a little bit of discovery on your own in order to find your ideal job. What we're doing now is super interesting. We're digitalizing this step. We've created a partnership with a company called .in.us. Basically, they built a revolutionary 60-second psychological test. It's an implicit psychological test. What does that mean? It means that the human just chooses some random shapes and colors from the available shapes and colors on the screen, and the software is able, on those shapes and colors, is able to deduce your character with 90% accuracy. Actually, it's not random. The shapes and colors that we choose are actually in correlation with our subconscious mind. So although we consciously choose it randomly, subconsciously it's not random. So we cannot actually predict if we answer in a certain way, what kind of results would we get, or if we answer in another way, if the results will be different. It's completely subconscious and very, very accurate. So we partner with them. We take the results of their software, which is an analysis of the candidate's profile, like multidimensional IQ score, what they like to do, what they're good at, stuff like that. And then we map that, we cross-reference it with 250 different jobs that are available in the market, 250 different possible careers. So what we actually do, we enable candidates to get a really clear picture on what are the potential jobs that best match their characters. So currently, we're building this solution called Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word meaning a reason for being or a reason for life. So it's basically the reason why we get out of the bed in the morning. You could imagine it as if there would be 4 circles. So the first circle could be, I can even share a screen, can I?
Yes, do let me just make sure that you have the, yeah, that would be the very best idea. Yeah.
All right.
It should be working now.
You can even see I have a little book here. It's called Ikigai. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful Japanese concept, meaning the reason for being. And it's kind of a complex concept to explain in Western terminology. It's if we could mix what we love to do, what we're good at, what we can be paid for, and what the world needs, on the intersection of those 4 circles is where Ikigai lies. So it's a career fulfilling on all levels: spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical. And it's not just bringing...
Yeah, one of those Venn diagrams, yeah, so.
Exactly, yeah. Let me just show you.
You should be able to share the screens.
Yes. Do you see my screen yet?
No, not yet, but.
Not yet, just a second. Share screen, okay.
Yep, now we see it.
Cool. So this is basically the PDF report that we're working on. This is going to be the product of the assessment. And the core concept around which we're building the report is actually this Ikigai. So what you do the psychological test, and from a psychological test, basically we can understand what it is that you love. So the kind of people that you'll click with, your workplace values, what are the motivational drivers that guide you. And on the other hand, we can also understand what are your dominant character traits, how do you work, how do you apply your intelligence practically, and also what is your multidimensional IQ score. You know, are you more towards a scientist, or are you more towards math, or are you more towards social stuff, things like that. All of that can be found in the report. And then what is done is basically we cross-reference, we map, we intersect these two areas of what you love and what you're good at with a huge database of real-time job opportunities, and we give you your Ikigai zone. So the output of the report, I can show you, the report is quite long. It goes in detail into all the character traits. So it's super good, useful for students that probably aren't 100% self-aware. I know at least I wasn't when I was a student. I'm not self-aware 100% even now. So that's definitely why this report could be a very good thing to use. And then at the end, you get your Ikigai results, which is basically a list of top 5 industries. And for each industries, we give them the top jobs that are for their character within that industry, as well as some top companies that are employers in those industries. So for someone that's not completely aware of him or herself, or actually aware of what job opportunities exist out there, Ikigai and this report is really a useful product. It gives them that awareness, it gives them that knowledge, and then of course the software cannot make the decision instead of you. What would be the point if the direction of our life would be chosen by some software? But we actually provide you this Ikigai zone, 25 jobs in 5 industries, and then we also give you actionable steps to take to narrow down from these 25 jobs to the top 3. And then we also give you some meditations in order to choose the top job, to help you merge the power of the subconscious mind with the power of the conscious mind, so that you don't make the decision only logically, but also including the emotions. And at the end, when you choose the top job, we also give you a meditation so that you stay zen in the process of searching your job, and you get extra clarity, and you keep, it's a guided meditation that everyone that does this assessment will receive. They will get access to the meditation and so on. So this is basically the Ikigai product. I'm gonna stop here for a moment, as I assume you might have questions.
That's getting quite complicated. I remember when you only had CV and cover letter, nothing else. Now you're getting to some very sophisticated statistics, psychology, purpose of life. So that's very important. Yeah. Can I do a quick survey here? I'm just curious, do you want to do a quick poll of the students to inform where they stand? So I'm launching here a poll, guys, asking you, the attendees, when you applied for a job last time, and I assume most of you have had at least one job, how stressful was it for you? So can you indicate the stress level or the difficulty level when you were applying for jobs? So you should be able to see this poll on your screen, and I think it's a little bit more complicated when you're on the phone, but you should be able to figure that out. And so I see most people said that it was a little stressful or it was stressful. So it was not an easy task for anyone, but it was not very stressful for anyone either. Okay, good to know. Because when I was in the job market last time, applying for this job as a professor, it's been what, like 12, 13 years ago, it was very stressful. I mean, it was several months of very, very intensive, difficult, time-consuming process. All right. So now I also want to ask you one more question, and this time, so share the results. Let me show you. So most of you said it was a little stressful, and then several said it was stressful. But then I would like to also ask you, what was the hardest part of your job hunt process? From finding the job openings to preparing your resume, cover letter, maybe the actual process of sending off the application packages. I know for some jobs you have to, find 20 or submit 25 documents, and it takes time just to package everything, or other. And so we see some people saying that it was preparing the resume. Many people say that it was the job interviews. Some people say it was difficult to negotiate the job offer. Okay, interesting. So it's all over the place, and you can select multiple entries. So if you had difficulties with multiple points or positions, so then you can select multiple. Well, it's actually all over the place. It seems like everything was difficult, although resume and job interviews are still the most challenging tasks. Okay, so let me show you the results.
Interesting, thanks.
Yeah, so actually resume remains the most challenging part, and that's where ZenCV actually can help. That's their core product, but it seems like quite a few other areas were also difficult. Okay, good to know, good to know.
Cool. Could we launch a poll maybe to assess self-awareness and awareness of all the job possibilities in the market?
Sure, yeah, so how would it be phrased? Let me add that poll very quickly. So that's not a
we could say, are you what is the biggest struggle in the professional orientation choosing your perfect job? Mm-hmm. Is it self-awareness? Is it not knowing all the jobs that are out there? Is it not believing in yourself? Is it something different? Thank you, Vaz. This is really useful.
Actually, maybe let's do the following, because this one will probably contain quite a few different answers.
Sure.
And you maybe answer that question in the Q&A, guys, or in the comments. So what's your biggest struggle kind of finding your perfect job? So is that when you just don't know what the perfect job for you would be, or if you are not quite confident that you would be able to do the job that you think is perfect job for you, or any other, you know, struggles on the front of kind of choosing the perfect match for you. So if you can just put your own challenges in the Q&A and just write it up in your own words. And so we'll get to that maybe in a few minutes once the answers start coming. So yeah, and there are several comments here. I see from Robert. He says not knowing all the jobs, and I assume that means both what jobs exist, but also what jobs are available. Rabia says that self-awareness, not knowing what I'm good or what I want to do most, and aren't we all? So that's a difficult one for sure. So okay, yeah. So and self-awareness then also for Kushal. So yeah.
Right.
And maybe it even takes some time. So although it seems like with proper psychology and psychometric analysis, ZenCV may be able to help you find your true calling and perfect job. Right?
We would be very grateful to try to help there, and even if we don't, we would like to really much receive your feedback. So far, could you maybe answering the question as answered, did you find the Ikigai concept interesting? Do you think it could be useful for you? Do you think it could help you boost self-awareness or discover what jobs are out there? Or it's complete nonsense for you?
And while the students are trying to answer that question, from my perspective as a researcher, I again wonder if it's possible to do some sort of study to see if the tool does help. Like, I don't know if you can maybe survey the students who used the tool, let's say months after the process, compare them to a control group where you had people who just applied for whatever was available, you know, as people often do, and then see if there is a difference in satisfaction, in the compensation level, in whatever other metric you may use, you know, as an indicator of successful, basically of a successfully, you know, landed job. And so I wonder if it would be, Rabia says that yes, it's a good tool. I will be using it right away. Very good. Then Anonymous at Indeed, the most problem I had with finding a job is that are available. So that, yeah, finding a job that is available at an acceptable salary level. And again, that's a good point, because again, we may wish for one thing, but you know, even if it's available, maybe the compensation package is not the best, or yeah.
So that's also what we wanted to include in the report, and that's one of the tasks actually for X-Culture right now, is for each of the 250 jobs that we have in the database, we would like to do a detailed deep dive into each of the jobs to say, okay, what is the description, the day-to-day responsibilities, the soft skills, the hard skills needed, what is the purpose of the job, and also the salary range, and if the trend is like growing for those jobs or it's declining, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Drisha says, yes, Ikigai is a very good concept. Robert says, I'm still a little too young to worry about these things. And that's true. At some point, maybe it's still too early for you to kind of determine one path that you need to be on. Maybe you need to try a few things. Yeah. Chris says, not everyone is sure about what they would like to work on. Such a tool would be very helpful, especially for students who are soon to graduate. And again, very true. Like I'm looking at my own kids, they have so many different ideas and interests, and at the same time, perhaps no interest in something specific. At this time, they're very, very open as to what they might be doing, and I guess some tool that would help them find a good match would help at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Although again, as somebody said, at some point you dream to be an astronaut or I don't know, Formula One racer, but then you look at what's available and you have a choice between McDonald's and Burger King. And so you apply to what's available and that's it. So,
yeah, that's true. But even in McDonald's, you can work, I don't know, in marketing and work with some of the most brilliant minds.
Well, yeah, if you're graduating right from high school, usually you're limited to cleaning tables and flipping burgers. But that's again, for someone who is 16, 17 years old, I think that's a very good experience, for a month at least, just to see how an organization works, how the organizational structure, schedule, work logs, whatever else, just so you understand what a company and a business is. And then over time, yes, maybe you'll move into marketing, or maybe you'll move more into production, or maybe something else. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's super cool. And also I would add networking is one of the most important things. You might be very well at that job, show your work ethics to make some connections, and then after a couple of years, you do maybe another master's degree or something else, and those connections will be at some managerial positions. So those could be very useful things.
There is a very interesting comment also, again, someone left it anonymously, but basically talking about labor laws and labor relations. And so I was underpaid illegally and I didn't even know what to do about it. And that's very true. So I don't know how things work in different countries, but Canada and the United States, where I've been for most of my life now, but also where I used to teach labor relations. So when you look at the legal sort of side of employment, basically at labor laws, there are quite a lot of interesting sort of things in the law, what you can and cannot do, what your employer can and cannot do, from compensation to firing to recruitment to discrimination. And so in many cases, employees literally just don't know their rights and don't know what they can and cannot do. And so I'm not sure how easy it would be to develop such guides for every country, because I assume it's very different. Not only in every country, like again, Canada and the United States, the differences could be even between the states. So again, from minimum wage to discrimination laws to other aspects of job. But it would be valuable, especially for younger people, if somebody provided that sort of guidance to them, so that they know how to go about these disputes, conflicts, and things like that.
Correct. Yeah, there are too many different variables to account for. It's really hard to map out a general rule, but if you're struggling, feel free to reach out to me. We can have a one-on-one conversation. I don't know. And
with the students, at the very least, you can find a lot of this information online. So you can always do a search. Like, for example, if you have some sort of a conflict at work and you're not sure if you have the right to do whatever you want to, whatever your preferred course of action is, or if you got fired, or if your salary you think is too low, and you're not sure if there is any sort of legal repercussions or course of action that you can take. If you do a search, at least those basic issues, probably you will find a lot of useful information online. So don't just take your manager's word if he says or she says, yes, I can fire you. Maybe there is some sort of a severance package that is due according to the law. Maybe there must be some sort of a minimum, time notice or compensation or something like that. So do your research before you sort of settle.
Yep. All right.
So can we go to questions and answers then about the business, or is it still, were you planning to say more?
I would just like to say a sentence or two about the brief itself. So the brief, we put in an extra effort this year to try to make it really useful, really practical, really interesting for students. So there isn't much theoretizing. It's all very, very practical. Only 2 out of 8 tasks are related to business strategy, business model innovation, pricing model, new products, stuff like that. Everything else is really down to earth activities that you would literally do if you would get an internship in our company. So the same job that we're doing currently, we're just extending to X Culture. So we're talking about really deepening into the product development of our Ikigai, doing the job descriptions of each of the jobs, writing blog articles, creating social media posts, creating ideas and real narratives for TikTok, creating real narratives for YouTube, figuring out what are the right partners, reaching out to those partners and stuff like that. So all of those things are related to mostly to Ikigai, CV, cover letter building and stuff like that. So all of the things that you will be able to do within the brief will actually be very useful for you tomorrow down the road when you will be applying for jobs, because you will have lots of research, lots of practical experience in this area. So if that is of interest for you, I would be very happy to guide you through this process. We'll organize weekly webinars, so the project is going to be a little bit more interactive, which I think is also good for you to get more into the trenches, not really stay in the clouds of the theory.
That one is an important thing. So most companies have one webinar or sometimes 2 webinars. Here, did I hear you, Vladimir? Did I hear it correctly? So as last semester, this semester, you're planning to offer weekly meeting with people working on your challenge? And correct. So it will be available for them at a specific time every week.
Specific time every week, not super long. It's going to be a half-an-hour time frame, but since we're doing it every week, we're going to be able to cover most of the things.
Yeah. So if you have questions, you can yeah. And so it should be in the challenge descriptions and the brief, so you should be able to.
Yes.
Now we have a few more questions about your company. So the main product is you develop a CV and cover letters, but you also help with the whole job search process. Rehearsal of the interviews, helping find the right job. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you operate at this time, who your customers are, what countries they come from, so the geography of your business and the population or the the clientele profile?
Okay, so we are nearing the 100th client, and as we're having 100 clients, we're able to pull some statistics which are pretty valid. Most of our client base, I would say more than 50%, comes from Italy, but that is mostly because our initial website was ZenCV.it, not .com. So Google search optimization actually geared Italian people towards our website and not everyone else. But actually now with the ZenCV.com, we're expanding our reach. It's becoming more global, and people from US, from Canada, Bulgaria, Germany, all around Europe, it's getting more and more heterogeneous as we speak right now.
How big is the company again? How many years have you been operating since the original idea?
The original idea was when we did the first brief. We incorporated the company several months after that. So we are incorporated since June last year. Mm-hmm. But the new team itself is operating for 1 year now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Got it. How do you advertise your services?
So we use several channels, most of which are guerrilla channels, meaning we don't have really a budget to do our advertising. So we're using LinkedIn bots, little bots that go on LinkedIn and message people and tell them about their services, and then some of those people become our clients, or they just use boost self-awareness. We use social media posts. We use SEO, search engine optimization, so writing blog articles, creating content marketing that's going to be online. And we're also working on some video ads that are going to be displayed on YouTube and so other social media channels.
Mm-hmm. How much do you charge for your services? And is it a fixed price, or does it depend on where the customer comes from?
It doesn't depend on geography. It depends mostly on the seniority and the amount of experience they have within their CV, which directly correlates to the amount of work we have to put in to finish the CV. So for students, so we have 3 packages. The first package is HR writing of the content only. The second package is design only, and the third package is both. So the package that combines both of the aspects, we call it From Zero to Hero. And for students, for example, HR content only is $35. design only is 35 bucks, and when you combine it together, you get a little discount, so it's 70 bucks. Before taxes, after taxes, it's around 80. And then those prices go a little bit north with age, up until 150 for seniors.
Got it, got it. So what has been the biggest challenge of developing, building a company, launching a business? One of the reasons, again, for the students why we always have some smaller, younger companies is because, yes, we have some large companies on the list now, and so some of them have been around for almost a century, and so they do well, and those are interesting challenges. But the truth is that most of you will be sort of managing or starting companies like ZenCV and not like Nova Brink, for example. And so I thought there would be some value in not only solving the challenge for a company, but perhaps for a company that is similar to where you will be in a couple of years. And by learning the struggles or the challenges or the solutions that these younger companies implement, you can learn something for yourself. So when tomorrow you graduate and you start your own business, you know a little bit about being a business founder, about being a business manager. So Vladimir, you've been around for what, like 2 years now, total or so. So what has been the largest challenge for you so far as a business owner?
Do I need to differentiate one challenge, or can I say the
Give us the whole list. There is more than one.
So the list would probably be a Bible, but the top three would be, I would say, first of all, I started the core business with a bunch of friends, and as business was evolving, it was harder and harder as we were having more clients, more work to do, more pressure was being added. Things really needed to get done quickly and efficiently. It was really, really difficult to stay in a friendly vibe and still get all the things to flow. So there was a lot of friction and a lot of emotions that was personally very difficult for me to handle, but that's just a personal bias. I don't think all the founders will have those kind of problems. Then second of all, which is somewhat linked to the first one, when I was starting the startup, I had around 3 or 4 years of total experience, not really leadership experience. So for me, leadership and organization were really, really difficult in the beginning. The teams quickly expanded to around 10 people, and my leadership skills and organization skills were really, or the lack of those skills were really starting to show off. And it was really difficult to kind of segment the business, clusterize the different teams, create a structure that could be operationally efficient, and at the same time keep the machine going and motivate people. Since we're all part-time basically in the startup, we're still not profitable enough to support all of the salaries. So leadership in the sense of motivating the people to stay in the company, put in the work, and get compensated in equity and not in cash was the biggest challenge for me, I would say.
Yeah, that's actually very unusual. I've asked this question of at least 100 founders of new businesses. And this is the first time I hear that somebody says the problem was that I didn't have enough knowledge or skills or experience. Most of the time people blame something external on challenges. They say that it's either that the customers were bad, didn't see my beautiful product, or the investors didn't recognize the potential, didn't give us the money, or my partner was bossy or not very cooperative, and so I should have found a different partner. So things like that. But usually people do not complain that they personally were not perfect. And so I think actually that's good, because yes, often we are not perfect, and so recognizing that is the first step to learning, the first step to becoming better. And so that's actually quite admirable that you recognize it. And I'm not sure if you're correct. Maybe you did everything right. Maybe it's just a difficult business.
I absolutely screwed up a million of times. And had I had this same mind 2 years ago, we would already be probably in the 6-figure or 7-figure range. But I didn't, and it's a process. And instead of aiming for quick success, which boosts ego, I think it's okay to aim for long-term, slow success, which builds character. And at the end, money will come and go, but character will stay. And the relationships which you build by taking it easy and not putting too much pressure on your colleagues is also worthwhile?
Well, I'll tell you this. So I've been teaching a bunch of different courses, and my beginning of my academic career, I was teaching statistics. And teaching statistics was very, very easy because people recognize that statistics is difficult. People recognize that they may not be very good at math. And so you as a professor have an easy time because you can be the good guy who tells them, don't worry, people, I'll teach you statistics, I'll teach you math. So just follow my lead, and the students admire you. And then the next stage of my life at the University of Calgary, I was teaching management. And that was very, very difficult. And the reason for that is that everybody thinks that they're good managers. You know, students, especially those who have a few years of experience, they think that, you know, oh, just give me employees. I'll look at them and I'll know right away who's good, who's bad, and I'll know which one is right. Or just give me a budget and I'll know exactly how to compensate them, or just give me an idea and I will be able to build a company. And you say, well, there is a whole science around management, managing people, the psychology of the organization, the labor relations, and you have to study for the exam. And so people look at the topics, you know, like recruitment, compensation, and they think, oh, what's here to learn? I mean, I've had a job, I've been compensated, I know everything. And that makes it very difficult because, you know, you cannot just wake up one morning and be a good figure skater, or you cannot just wake up one morning and start playing violin. You have to learn. And for some reason, people think that being a manager, that's something that, you know, you can just wake up in the morning and become a manager, an effective manager. And no, it takes a few tries and maybe a few years and, you know, maybe a lot of books and courses. And even then, you know, I'm what, 40, 44. And, you know, I've had several businesses, and looking back, you know, so many made, and I still, you know, when I look at what we've done even a few years ago, it's sometimes embarrassing. And I was not a kid at that time already. So yeah, but yeah, as long as you keep trying, eventually, you know, you will figure out what works, what doesn't for you.
Management is definitely a skill to be learned, and a complete philosophy and a complete degree, I would say. And since I did both electrical engineering and management engineering, management engineering was at least 7 times easier to study than electrical engineering. And one thought that I had was, after, you know, I studied management, so I thought I was a pretty good manager. I'm going to be able to run my startup easily. And then reality started kicking in. And after 2 years, my arrogant ass started getting more and more humble when I was getting kicked around. And the thought that I had was, wow, I was solving some of the most difficult problems in the world when I was an electrical engineer. But then I started to meet people and then understand people, and then understanding that people are actually the most difficult puzzles to solve, and managing and leading people is where the real problem solving lies.
Yeah, not to mention that, yeah, just simply putting a bunch of talented people together will not always result in a good outcome. So people have their egos, people have their preferences, people have their different interests. Sometimes people may not like each other. And so making it all work sometimes could be quite challenging. So to conclude, I want to just go very briefly over some of the basic things that we needed to, you know, for the students. So remember that you have this resource page, and on the resource page now you have the list of all of the challenges. So alphabetically here, from Dart drones to ZenCV at the end here. And for each of the companies, you just click on the link here and it will take you to the brief or to the challenge instructions. So somebody was asking, how can we help? Well, you just open the challenge instructions, and in each of those, you will see first a few pages about the company itself, what the company does, how the company works. Like in this particular case, you can actually click on a separate package. They have a nice presentation here. And so it gives you all kinds of information about the company, its history, its employees and stuff like that. And then eventually it goes to the actual challenge. So the list of questions and tasks that you need to do. And so for this particular company that I opened, so they need some help with market analysis, industry analysis, competition analysis, marketing, and things like that. It's always a very good idea to conduct a thorough market analysis before you start coming up with your ideas. Like for example, for ZenCV, and Vladimir, tell me if you think it's a good idea, but I would say interview at least 5-10 of your own friends and ask them, you know, did you use a company to help you with the job search last time? Why or why not? If you did use a company that helped you with the resume or job interview or whatever, you know, the services they offered, how did you select them? What kind of maybe how did you find them? Was it an ad online, or was it a friend who told you? Did you like them? What did they do? Have you ever heard about ZenCV? Would you consider them? If so, would you, what would be the acceptable price for you? Things like that. And so by talking to your friends, who technically are potential customers of ZenCVs, you would be able to better understand what's going on in the head of the potential customers.
Mm-hmm.
That will definitely help you sort of come up with better marketing ideas, maybe come up with new product ideas. And then obviously ZenCV particularly asks you to do all kinds of, try different like content creation, maybe resume design. Again, try that as well. And one, it will be a useful exercise so that when tomorrow you're looking for a job, you already have some of that experience.
Yep.
So, but also you will realize that, that's an effective marketing tool. So all that content created and posted online can sort of work for you for free, unlike ads where you pay. So by posting useful content for the customers, they read, they learn about you, and they come for your services. So read carefully those challenge instructions. Each company is a little different, represents a different industry, usually comes from a different country, and has a different list of questions and tasks for you to work on. So take a look at those. If you still have questions, again, there are two places where you can go. One, since we have a lot of questions and most of those questions are repetitive, we create here basically a frequently asked questions database for each company. And so if we get a question, we usually add it to the list, and then there is an answer. Like for example, since Dart Drones participated last semester, there were a few questions last semester, and you can see them and you can find the answers here. If you cannot find the answer here, you can obviously send an email to us, and we will either, if we know the answer, we'll give it to you. If we don't, we will go back to the company and get the update and send you those answers. And then obviously the webinars are very useful. Watch the recording if you miss the live one. But then again, some companies like ZenCV here are generous enough with their time that they offer you weekly meetings. And you can go to those, talk to the company founder, maybe share your ideas, get feedback. Maybe it's something they already tried and they know it doesn't work, or maybe it's something they never thought about and they really love and they want you to focus more on. So and definitely, use that opportunity. It's a rare opportunity because company founders, owners, managers tend to be very busy, and we are lucky if we get one webinar. Here you can actually have weekly meetings if you need to.
Yep, and I would like to say that also, I'm sorry to interrupt, we added the marketing part of the market analysis also as one of the tasks. So you will have a very thorough structure that you can follow that we gave you, so you don't really have to break your head. But yes, as Vasil said, please reach out to your friends or your colleagues or people that you know that might need our services. You can pass them directly the service that we gave, and we also will offer to the most ambitious and most successful groups, we will all offer internship prizes, or at least give you a chance to do the interview, which could be very interesting.
Yeah, tell us more about that. So are you saying that the best students may be able to get some sort of a position at your company?
Yes, so we cannot guarantee that everyone will get hired, but what we can say that is that we can definitely do an interview, and if we see that there is an obvious match and we can practically see how we can help each other, then great, we are definitely considering internships. Yeah.
That's a good idea. And in the past, many companies do offer that option. We've had students who got jobs at companies. In fact, we've had some companies that hired over a dozen people over the years. So in some cases, it's the company doesn't plan to offer anything. They just look at your, basically solutions, whatever you submit. And they're like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is very good. Can I get the contacts of that person? Maybe I want to talk to them. But we've also had situations, for example, where a student would do so much locally, like conduct so much research and sometimes even brings contracts. The company reaches out to the student and says, hey, do you want to be our local representative? So we'll set up an office for you, and maybe you will be our North American agent, or maybe our whatever the country you are in. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, we've had those cases as well. And then we also had cases where students simply said, I really loved your company. I loved working at it. Do you have a job for me? And so they said, sure, we do. Talking about Italy, for example, so Coach Grifoni, it's a winemaker. They make wine. They hosted one of the X-Culture Symposia in 2018 in Macerata, Italy. And so they set up a situation where they will have an all-paid internship for X-Culture students for the whole summer. So it's going to be 3 months. And so they're particularly interested in students from outside Europe. And so they grow grapes, and then make wine. And so they're very careful about, sustainability, making sure that their land will remain fertile for centuries. And so not only they offer that position fully paid for the whole 3 months in Italy, but their hope is that you will then go home to your country and maybe become the company representative, or maybe you will work for another wine company in wherever you live, but you will kind of carry that philosophy with you. So we have all these interesting opportunities. Again, I want to stress that Xculture's job is not to find you jobs directly, because we have sometimes students asking, you know, so if I participate in Xculture, will you give me a job? No, that's not exactly how it works. But in many cases, if you go through our training and you work with these companies, in many cases, it does end up with a job offer or internship offer. If you do a good job, if you impress the company enough. We even have a few students who started actually working for Xculture. So we have about 6 people now working in different capacities part-time as employees of Xculture paid positions. But again, so we are not advertising at this time any position. So you're participating for experience for now, and not for a guaranteed job, although.
And job might be a side effect.
Yeah, side effect, exactly.
All right, cool. I'd like to add one thing. One of the super important initiatives that we have right now, so we're building this Ikigai digital product, is gonna be ready in 10 days. And after that, our biggest strategic initiative will be making partnership with universities, so that universities around the globe and their students will actually use the Ikigai service on a large scale. So if some of you students know how you would connect us with your faculties, with your universities, and they would become a partner of ZenCV, then that could be extremely valuable for us, and that would be the single biggest factor of why we would like to work with you long term and hire you.
Yeah, that's good to know. And students do have access to the universities, so hopefully some interesting businesses will come from there. All right, well, let's stop here. We have another webinar in a few minutes, so let's take a quick break and meet again for the next one in about 10 minutes. Thank you so much, Vladimir.
Thank you, Vasil.
And everyone, if you're interested more in ZenCV, if you Google Xculture ZenCV, we've must have been like at least 6, 7 of these webinars before, so you can watch more. So in the previous ones, we focused more on the company history and sort of kind of some of the basics, so you can find those as well in the past on our YouTube channel, basically. All right, thank you so much. Oh, and Robert is asking where I'm originally. So I was born in Ukraine, and it's been about a dozen countries before I ended up in North Carolina. So Canada was the most extensive one, but also sometime in Texas, high school in Germany, and a bunch of other countries. So, but Ukrainian by birth. So, all right.
Thank you, students. Thank you, Vaz.
Bye-bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye.